Check, 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 check.
Sound check. Unicorn. All right, good morning, everyone. This is Mr. Williams and Mr. Altmiller here. We want to kind of walk through some things. First of all, we want to acknowledge that about a month ago, right at the beginning of the school day, we had an incident where we had a lockdown that was triggered by some maintenance workers working on the system. And I know that kind of caused a lot of anxiety for a lot of people, and we want to acknowledge that that happened. But we also want to take some time today to kind of talk through if that were to happen again, or if we had a situation where we had to go into a lockdown, kind of what the expectations are. We review this all the time, but we want to make sure that we're reviewing it on at least an annual basis, but even more than that. So we're going to take some time to kind of walk through that with you this morning. And then the rest of today, your teachers are going to be available to ask or to answer some questions and kind of talk through what it would look like maybe in their room with some situations. So thank you for your attention this morning, and Mr. Altmiller and I are going to kind of go through some things. So first of all, in the event of if we get a lockdown on the clocks up there and it says to lock down, remember that there's really kind of three options that we're looking at, and those are what we call run, hide, and fight. So option one is really to run, and that may mean you're running to the nearest classroom. So that's kind of always our first option, is to get into a classroom as quickly as you can. If you're outside at this time, it's obviously running to somewhere that's safe. The bottom line with that is get to safety. If you can exit the building safely, then you can do that. But again, many times that means run to a classroom during that time.
Okay, option number two is to hide. If you're unable to exit the building safely, find a place to hide. And then once you're in that area, it can be the nearest, should probably be like the nearest classroom. And also follow your teachers. Your teachers will be supporting you with getting to safety. And then once you're in and you're hiding, make sure you barricade yourself into the space and prepare yourself in case you would need to fight. This will be a discussion you can have with your teacher. But so first option is run, and then it's hide. And then option number three is to fight. And this is a last resort. This is where an intruder would be an immediate threat to your safety, and you need to make sure you're defending yourself and prepared for that along the way. So run, hide, and then fight.
And I also want to emphasize that if you're in a locked classroom and the door is locked, the chances of you having to fight are very, very small, to be honest with you. Unfortunately, there have been times where people have entered the buildings in schools, but there has never been somebody who's gone through a locked door. So we want to make sure that that is kind of made clear, that if you're in a locked classroom, you are very, very safe. So we just want to make sure that that is clear with what's happening.
Okay, so assessing the situation. If you hear something come over the intercom like there was that morning, make sure you stop what you're doing, look around for signs of a threat, and listen in case, if you don't see danger, see if you can hear it. So stop, look, and listen, and then make your decision of run, hide, and fight. Again, teachers will be supporting you along the way, so listen to that. But these are the steps so that if there is a threat, that you act. So make sure you stop, you listen, you look, and then you make your decision of where you're headed to safety, whether it's run, hide, or fight.
And we're also going to have some, obviously there'll be teachers in the hall helping direct you. So remember, about a month ago, we had lots of teachers in the halls telling you to get into classrooms. So you're going to hear some directions from staff as well. So please make sure you're following the directions of those staff members. I know we had some situations where some students maybe thought it was just a drill and I don't really need to listen to directions of a staff member. you need to make sure that you're following the directions of staff members at all times. They're going to be helping you get to safety. So please make sure that you're following those directions. So again, we're going to kind of go through these now a little more individually. So the first one that we talked about is running. And again, I want to make sure we emphasize this. A lot of times it's going to be running to the nearest classroom. It may not be a teacher that you have, but it's the closest one. So just get to that classroom. You also want to assess where is the nearest exit. So if you're near an exit and can get out of the building safely, that may be the safest place for you to go. And then once you exit the building, that's where we're going to kind of talk about where you're going to go if you're outside during this event or you do exit the building.
And this is one of the slides where teachers, after we're done presenting, you can go back and brainstorm with your class as well. So here's a picture of our school building. You see it's right there at Skyridge Middle School. And you see all around us, we have lots of forest around us and lots of space that you could get in if you needed to run to safety. So I just wanted, if you've never seen a visual of where we are, some of you may have gone to Grass Valley Elementary. That school is down to our southeast. And then you'll also see over to the right of Skyridge Middle School is the Underwriters Lab. That's an area where safety personnel will be directed to pick up students if there were an incident and keep students who are off campus. So the biggest thing to remember is if you are leaving the building, is lots of space around us to hide in the woods or get away from the danger if the danger is inside Skyridge Middle School. So just want to kind of give you an overall picture of what our campus looks like and options if you were outside of the building to get to safety.
All right, so the number 2 option is to hide. And this is the one that we practice a lot with lockdowns. So this is one that we're used to, unfortunately. So remember, you're going to get to the nearest classroom. Again, even if it's not your teacher, you go to that classroom. The teacher is going to direct you to turn off all the sound, get away from the locked door. Now, I know in the incident that we had about a month ago, there were some classrooms where a teacher wasn't there yet. They were in a meeting and were not able to get to their classroom. And for the most part, student did a great job of getting in and locking the door. One of the things that the teachers are going to talk to you about during today is we have little lock blocks on our door, and they're going to kind of show you how those work, because you're supposed to be able to slide them and then the door latches itself locked. So teachers are going to kind of go over that today a little bit so that you know how to do that. But if you're in a classroom and there's no teacher there, you're going to make sure the door gets locked by moving the lock block, or sometimes there's a magnet on a door. Thank you, Ms. Pappas. There might be a magnet on some of our classrooms that blocks it from closing, and you're just going to move the magnet, and teachers will kind of walk through what that looks like a little bit later today. So remember, you're going to get into the classroom, you're going to make sure that you're quiet, you're going to get away from the locked door, and then wait for instructions from teachers.
Okay, and that last slide was another brainstorm slide. This is another one as well. So number 3 is fight. Again, this is a last resort, but it's crucial. If there's no other option, that you make sure that you're prepared to defend yourself and hopefully get yourself to safety or get the attacker under control or in a safe spot. So this is one that you can brainstorm with your teacher, but when you're in hiding or barricaded in, look around to see if things you can use. It could be a coffee mug, chair, pencils, sharp object. Again, this is a last resort, but again, we want you to be aware that it is okay to defend yourself if there is an attacker in the building that is putting you in imminent danger. The other thing is if there is an attacker, make as much noise as possible, never stop moving. And then if you're in the room with other people, work together to take that person down. And if they do have a weapon and you take it, put the weapon in a trash can. That way, if you do walk out in the hall with it, it's in a trash can. It's not visible, because there will be safety personnel like policemen coming into the building. And if they would see you with a weapon in your hand, they might think you were the intruder. So in that situation, if you were to get a hold of the weapon, put it in a trash can so that way it's not you visibly holding it. So this is one that we like teachers to come back and brainstorm once we finish this presentation. Again, fighting is a last resort. We hope you never are in that situation, but it is one that we want you to be aware of, and it is okay to defend yourself if you are being attacked.
All right, what's next? So remember, in a real situation, if you do end up outside, remember that Underwriter Laboratories is kind of our primary go-to point, which is past, basically outside, kind of in the back. It's through the fence and around that area. So if you can get there, great. There's other places you can go. There's a fire station down the street. There's Wafer Tech across. There's Grass Valley Elementary. There's a neighborhood over there. Those are all places that you can get to. Remember, just as a refresher, you're running away from danger. That may mean into a classroom. That may mean if you're outside into the woods. If you're in the classroom, make sure that you're hiding. Wafer Tech is the one with the red circle around it. No, Wafer Tech. Did you say Wafer Tech or Underwriter?
Underwriter's Lab.
Sorry, Wafer Tech is the one across the street.
Yep.
Yes.
So Underwriters is the big circle.
Yes.
Right.
Underwriter Laboratories is the big circle. And then, where was I? If you cannot get away from the building, make sure you're hiding in the nearest classroom. So, again, that's, if you're in, especially if you're on the second floor, that's probably going to be your best bet. Get to a classroom, because trying to get out from the second floor is going to be hard to do. And then, as Mr. Altmiller talked about, the last option is to fight. And I know that's a scary thing. It's scary to us too, to be honest with you. And we hope it's something that you never, ever, ever have to do. Most of the time, you're not going to have to. If you're in a locked classroom, they're not going to come in. So that's the first priority, is making sure that you get into a classroom and you get the room secured. So at this time, we're going to turn it over to the teachers to ask some questions. We'll be kind of walking into classrooms. If there's any questions that we can help answer, we'd be happy to do that as we walk around. But we want you to kind of brainstorm some ideas and answer any questions that ask any questions that you might have. We're also going to be sending a message home to parents later today that said that we had this discussion, so that your parents are aware of what's happening. I also want to acknowledge that this is scary, and anxiety. It causes anxiety in a lot of students and some adults. So if that's what's happening as you're kind of walking through this, please make sure that our counselors are available if you need that support, or you can talk to us if you need that support. Don't be afraid if that's what you're feeling right now. We want to make sure that we acknowledge that as well. Anything else, Mr.
Yeah, and as
Altmiller?
we wrap up, just know that our number one priority is to keep you safe. So there's lots of things we have in place to make sure that our building is a safe space for you, that we as adults are responsible for, and we take great measures to make sure that you are safe here at Skyridge. So just know that that's our top priority. We always want you to feel safe, but we also want you to be prepared in case something were to happen. So if you do need support, let us know. But we have lots of measures in place to make sure our building is safe, so you can focus on your learning and be a Skyhawk and be comfortable here in our school setting.
Right, and also acknowledge that, we plan for these things, but the chances of them happening are actually very small. There's this, if you think about all the schools in the country, the chances of something happening are pretty small, and our exterior doors are always locked at school. So it's actually hard to get into our building during the school day. So Just want to make sure that that's very clear too, that we prepare for these things, but the chances of it happening are very, very small. So just want to give you that peace of mind a little bit too. So at this time, we're going to sign off from SNN. We're going to pop into classrooms, and teachers kind of take it from here for a debrief. Thank you for your attention. Have a great rest of your Friday.